The gym was alive with the rhythmic squeak of sneakers and the sharp crack of laughter, but for Marcus Reed, it was just another night of sweeping up the echoes of other people's joy. His calloused hands gripped the worn handle of his broom, the bristles scraping against the polished hardwood as he moved in the shadows of the community basketball club. At 42, Marcus was a ghost in this place, a single dad cleaner who blended into the walls, unnoticed by the players who filled the court with their energy and dreams. But tonight, something shifted. A group of young athletes, their voices dripping with mockery, called out to him, holding a basketball like a taunt. "Yo, old man, think you can shoot?" one of them jeered, tossing the ball at his feet. The club fell silent, eyes turning to Marcus, waiting for him to shrink under the weight of their ridicule. What happened next would silence them all, not just for a moment, but in a way that would echo through their lives forever. If you believe in kindness, second chances, and the power of the human spirit, please hit that like button, drop a comment, share this story, and subscribe to Kindness Speaks. Let's spread the message that everyone has a story worth hearing. Marcus had never been one for the spotlight. His life was a quiet one, stitched together with routine and sacrifice. By day, he worked as a janitor at the local high school, and by night, he cleaned the community basketball club, a place where dreams were born for others but never for him. His hands, rough from years of scrubbing floors and hauling trash, told a story of survival. 10 years ago, his world had collapsed when his wife, Lena, passed away from cancer, leaving him to raise their daughter, Amara, alone. Amara was 8 now, a bright spark with her mother's smile and a fierce love for basketball, though Marcus could barely afford the sneakers she needed to play. Every night, he worked late, saving every penny for her future, for her dreams. The club was a place of privilege, filled with kids who had coaches, gear, and parents cheering from the sidelines. Marcus didn't resent them, but their world felt like a universe away from his own. He swept the floors, emptied the trash, and kept his head down, his heart heavy with the weight of providing for Amara while carrying the grief of losing Lena. The night the players tossed the ball at him wasn't the first time he'd been mocked. Over the years, he'd heard the snickers, the whispers about the old guy who cleaned up after them. He was invisible until someone needed a target for their boredom. That night, the group of teens, led by a cocky point guard named Jaden, had been horsing around after practice, their energy spilling over into cruelty. Jaden, with his flashy sneakers and sharp tongue, had spotted Marcus sweeping near the free throw line and decided to make a game of it. "Hey, cleaner man, you ever touch a ball before?" he called, his friends erupting in laughter. Marcus paused, his broom still in hand, and looked at the ball rolling to a stop at his feet. His first instinct was to ignore them, to keep sweeping, to stay invisible. But something in Jaden's voice, sharp, entitled, careless, stirred a memory deep within him, one he'd buried long ago. He wasn't always just a cleaner. Once, he'd been something more. 25 years ago, Marcus Reed had been a name whispered with awe on courts like this one. In high school, he was a star, a point guard with a jump shot so smooth it seemed to defy gravity. Colleges scouted him, and for a brief, shining moment, the NBA felt within reach. But life had other plans. At 19, he met Lena, and when she got pregnant with Amara, he chose love over ambition. He traded his basketball dreams for a steady job, promising himself he'd give his daughter everything he never had. Then Lena got sick, and the hospital bills piled up, swallowing his savings and his future. Basketball became a distant memory, something he watched from the sidelines as he cleaned up after kids who reminded him of the boy he used to be. Amara loved hearing his old stories, but to Marcus, they felt like fairy tales, beautiful, but not real anymore. Yet, as he stood there, the ball at his feet and Jaden's smirk burning into him, something flickered inside. Not anger, but a quiet, stubborn resolve. He set the broom against the wall, the sound of wood on concrete cutting through the gym's silence. The players exchanged glances, their laughter fading into curiosity. Marcus picked up the ball, its leather warm and familiar in his hands. He hadn't touched one in years, not since he used to shoot hoops with Amara in their cramped backyard, letting her win to see her smile. The weight of the ball felt like a key to a door he'd locked long ago. He stepped to the free throw line, his worn work boots scuffing the floor. The gym was a cathedral now, every eye on him, every breath held. Jaden crossed his arms, expecting a fumble, a miss, something to fuel their laughter. Marcus didn't look at him. He didn't look at anyone. He saw only the hoop, 10 feet away, a circle of possibility that had once been his world. He bounced the ball once, twice, the sound echoing like a heartbeat. Then, with a motion so fluid it seemed to belong to a younger man, he shot. The ball sailed through the air, spinning perfectly, and swished through the net without touching the rim. The gym was silent, the kind of silence that feels like the world holding its breath. Marcus didn't react. He didn't smile or gloat. He just walked back to his broom, picked it up, and resumed sweeping. The players stared, their mouths slightly open, Jaden's smirk gone. For a moment, no one moved. Then one of the teens, a quiet kid named Ethan who'd always been kinder than the rest, started clapping. Slowly, others joined, the sound building until the gym was filled with applause. Marcus kept sweeping, his face unreadable, but inside, his heart was pounding. He hadn't shot to prove anything to them. He'd done it for himself, for the boy he used to be, and for Amara, who deserved to know her father was more than a shadow. Word of the shot spread quickly. By the next night, the club was buzzing with whispers about the cleaner who'd silenced the court. Some of the players started watching him, curious about the man they'd ignored for so long. Ethan, the quiet one, approached Marcus after practice one evening, holding a basketball and asking if he'd ever played. Marcus hesitated, then shared a piece of his story, just enough to let Ethan know he wasn't always a cleaner. Ethan listened, wide-eyed, and soon other players started lingering, asking questions. Marcus didn't want their pity, but he couldn't deny the warmth of their interest. It was the first time in years he felt seen. Meanwhile, Amara was struggling at school. Her sneakers were falling apart, and the other kids teased her for it. Marcus saw the hurt in her eyes when she came home, and it broke him. He wanted to give her the world, but all he had were his tired hands and a stubborn heart. One evening, Ethan brought his coach, Coach Harris, to talk to Marcus. Harris was a gruff man with a reputation for turning raw talent into champions, but he had a soft spot for underdogs. He'd heard about the shot and wanted to know more. Marcus was reluctant, but Harris was persistent, asking him to shoot again. This time, it wasn't a joke. The coach set up a drill, and Marcus, in his work boots and faded janitor's uniform, ran through it like he was 20 again. His shots were clean, his passes sharp, his instincts untouched by time. Harris watched, arms crossed, and when Marcus finished, the coach offered him a deal: help coach the team, part-time, and earn enough to buy Amara new sneakers and maybe more. Marcus laughed it off at first, thinking it was impossible. He was a cleaner, not a coach. But Harris saw something in him, a fire that hadn't gone out, just dimmed. The decision wasn't easy. Marcus hadn't stepped into the light in years, and the idea of coaching terrified him. What if he failed? What if he let Amara down? But when he saw her come home with tears in her eyes, her sneakers held together with tape, he knew he had to try. He started coaching, just a few hours a week, teaching the kids fundamentals he'd learned long ago. The players, even Jaden, began to respect him, not just for his skill but for his quiet strength. He didn't yell or show off. He listened, corrected, and pushed him to be better. Slowly, the team improved, and so did Marcus. He started smiling more, telling Amara stories about his playing days, and for the first time in years, he felt like he was building something, not just surviving. Amara noticed the change. She started coming to the gym, watching her dad coach, her eyes bright with pride. One night, Marcus brought her to the court after hours, just the two of them. He taught her how to shoot, the way he used to, guiding her hands, showing her the arc. When she made her first basket, her laughter filled the gym, and Marcus felt a warmth he hadn't known since Lena was alive. The club became a second home for them, a place where they could dream together. Jaden, who'd once mocked Marcus, became one of his best players, even apologizing for that night. Marcus forgave him, not with words, but with the way he coached him, pushing him to be better than he thought he could be. The season ended with the team winning the regional championship, a victory no one expected. Marcus stood on the sidelines, watching his players celebrate, Amara cheering louder than anyone. He wasn't just the cleaner anymore. He was Coach Reed, a man who'd found his way back to himself through a single shot and a lot of heart. The gym, once a place of shadows, was now a place of light, where he and Amara could write a new chapter. As the crowd roared, Marcus looked at the hoop, the same one he'd shot at that night, and felt Lena's presence, like a whisper telling him he'd done good. If this story touched your heart, if it reminded you of the power of resilience and love, please like, comment, and share this video. Subscribe to Kindness Speaks and let's keep spreading stories that lift us up. And before you go, drop a comment below. Tell us about a time someone surprised you with their strength or kindness. We'd love to hear your story.